There is a vital piece of information that many people miss regarding the beast out of the earth in Revelation 13. Now Daniel 7:23 tells us that a beast in prophecy represents a nation of the earth. So this earth beast of Revelation 13 is a nation, but which one? First, Revelation 13 verse 11 says this beast out of the earth has 2 horns like a lamb. A lamb in the Bible is a symbol of Christ, so this nation rises as a Christian nation. But then, as verse 11 confirms, it speaks as a dragon. Revelation 12 confirms the dragon to be Satan, so this nation which first rises as a Christian nation ends up speaking for Satan. In verses 12 and 16 of Revelation 13, we are told that this beast has the power to cause all the world to worship the first beast nation of Revelation 13 and receive its mark. So what does this earth beast nation need to have in place to force all the world to worship the first beast? 2 things. It needs to have some sort of financial control of the world, but it must also have military control of the world. Now, are there any nations that come close to fulfilling this criteria? Well, take a look at this following information.
Now, I also think that if we were just resorting to that and we didn't have a realistic view that there are bad people out there who are trying to do us harm, and we've got to have the strongest military in the world, and we occasionally have to twist the arms of countries that wouldn't do what we need them to do if it weren't for the various economic or diplomatic or in some cases military leverage that we had.
Early in the history of warfare, man learned that the best formula for victory was compounded of striking power, mobility, and self-protection.
The U.S. is easily the most powerful country to have ever existed, and it certainly spends more on its military budget than any other country does today. That's all pretty well known. But less well known is the fact that the US has around 800 military bases around the globe. This map can't even show that many dots. These are just 200 or so dots to give you an idea of where these bases are clustered. These bases are everything from massive military compounds to small airstrips in the middle of the ocean. If you combined all the foreign bases that every other nation has outside of its own borders, you get a total of about 30. There's never been a country with such a massive global presence. And the big question is, how did these bases get there in the first place? And how much is it costing US taxpayers to keep them open? Most of these bases cropped up after World War II, when the US set up in places like Germany and Japan to help maintain peace after an era of intense global war.
But we cannot expect these people to discard Nazi ideas with the casual air with which they abandoned their uniforms. Slowly, steadily, they must be taught the fundamentals of democracy. Our task is to supervise this training in democracy.
Even though these countries are now stable, robust democracies and allies, the US still has 50,000 troops in Japan and 54,000 in Germany. The Korean War brought an influx of American infrastructure into the Korean Peninsula, where we now have 28,500 troops stationed. The Cold War made the US expansion to every corner of the globe imperative to US strategic goals.
Here in Russia, you see the reason why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production. Why your family is paying the highest taxes in our history.
But even now that the Cold War is over, there's not a place on Earth that's not still covered by US military influence. This includes everything from naval compounds like those in Guantanamo Bay, to small drone bases like those in the Horn of Africa, to little-known posts in the middle of the Indian Ocean like that of Diego Garcia. And it's not cheap. Keeping US foreign bases open costs taxpayers between $70 and $100 billion per year. That's more than any other government agency receives in taxpayer money, besides, of course, the Department of Defense itself. Taxpayers pay between $10,000 and $40,000 more per soldier stationed abroad than they do for those stationed here domestically. But this cost seems to be worth it to most lawmakers. The idea that US military leadership provides an indispensable stability to the globe is now a fixture of our global strategy and our foreign policy.
In an uncertain world, full of breathtaking change, the one constant is American leadership.
You can't have stability without American leadership. There's only one nation in the world capable of rallying the freedom-loving people of this planet to confront evil.
American leadership is not just respected, it is required.
So over the past 70 years, the US has set up bases all over the world in response to threats, and then they just never left. These 800 bases around the world represent a massive system of military power that isn't often talked about.
Is there any nation on Earth that comes even close to matching the Earth Beast the way America does? No. All other nations are a million miles away from having the control over the world like America does. Now, some people say that China has overtaken America as the lead in financial power, but they fail to realize the financial trouble that China is in today. And yes, it would seem that America is in financial trouble too, but America is controlling things in the background that we don't know about. We reported on a news article 5 years ago which confirmed that it is America who owns China and has control over its financial system, not the other way around. Friends, America is the only nation that can fit the Earth Beast of Revelation 13. America is the only nation on Earth with the financial and military power to force all the world to take the mark of the first beast, which is the mark of the Papal Church of Rome. The majority of churches in America do not know this truth, which is why they are uniting to so-called Make America Great Again. But they are being deceived and will end up forming the image of the papacy, a church-state union in America. And these fallen Protestant churches in America, uniting with the Catholic Church, will be the very ones to call for the enforcement of the Sunday law, the very mark of the Papal Beast of Rome. All that was stated in Bible prophecy is coming to pass, and all that was stated in this amazing prophetic book, The Great Controversy, is coming to pass. If you have not read this amazing book yet, then I urge you to read it and find out the truth, so that you can be prepared through Jesus Christ for what is coming.